Most men never realize the first mistake they make is putting a woman at the center of their emotional world before she's even earned that position. You start thinking about her more than you think about your own direction. You shift your schedule, your attention, your internal focus around the hope that she'll notice you, choose you, or validate you. The moment you do that, she feels it. Women can sense when a man is orbiting them instead of standing in his own life. It changes the entire power dynamic before anything even begins. At first, you think you're being caring or attentive. You think showing interest will make her feel safe. But what she actually feels is a man who is already too invested, too available, too focused on whether she likes him. She doesn't feel a man with a life that pulls her in. She feels someone waiting. Someone hoping. Someone trying. And that energy kills attraction faster than anything you say. A woman wants to step into a man's world, not become his world. She wants to feel like you have weight and direction on your own. When your identity leans toward her, even subtly, she backs away because she can sense that you don't value yourself as much as you value her. A woman doesn't want a man who makes her the mission. She wants a man who has a mission she can respect. The girl you want doesn't pull closer when she feels you abandoning your center. She pulls back. Not because she's cruel, but because you stopped being the man she could admire. Before she feels desire, she needs to feel that you choose yourself first. Only then does she start choosing you. Most men don't notice how quickly their interest turns into need. It happens in small ways at first. You answer her messages the second they arrive. You adjust your tone to match what you think she wants. You look for signs she's losing interest, and you react to every shift in her mood. You start caring more about keeping her comfortable than staying true to yourself. None of this feels needy to you in the moment, but to her, it's obvious. She can feel the pressure. She can feel you wanting a response, a sign, a yes. Need isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, but heavy. When she senses need, she doesn't feel inspired to move toward you. She feels pulled on. She feels the weight of your expectations. And no woman wants to carry that. Attraction works the opposite way. She needs to feel your value long before she feels your desire. She wants to be drawn into your world because she can sense a man who doesn't need anything from her. You can want her, but the second you need her to feel whole, respected, or validated, she loses respect. Value is built through your standards, your boundaries, your pace, and your self-control. It shows in the way you respond instead of react. It shows when you don't chase reassurance or try to convince her you're worth choosing. When a man stands in his worth, he sends a simple message without saying a word: I like you, but I don't need you to like me back for my life to move forward. That is what creates pull. That is what makes her pay attention. Not your effort. Not your availability. Not your trying. A man with value makes a woman curious. A man with need makes her leave. Most men think women fall for what they say, but the truth is simpler. A woman reacts to what she feels from you long before she pays attention to your words. She pays attention to your emotional state, your tone, your pace, the way you breathe when you talk to her. If you're anxious, she feels it. If you're unsure of yourself, she senses it before you even open your mouth. When your emotions lead instead of your presence, she doesn't feel grounded around you. She feels like she has to guide the interaction, and that kills attraction fast. Presence isn't about being silent or stoic. It's about being settled. It's the calm in your voice, the steadiness in your eyes, the quiet strength in the way you carry yourself. A woman wants to feel that you're centered no matter what she does. That if she pulls back, you stay composed. If she gets distant, you stay steady. If she tests you, you don't break. That emotional consistency makes her feel safe. Not the words you choose, not the compliments you give, not the effort you pour in. Your presence does what your language can't. But when your emotions sit at the surface, when you react too quickly, when you chase validation or look for reassurance, she feels it instantly. She feels a man trying to win her instead of a man who is already grounded in who he is. That emotional imbalance makes her withdraw. Not because she doesn't like you, but because she can't relax into a man who isn't relaxed within himself. She wants to feel pulled in by your calm, not pushed by your emotions. When she feels your presence more than your need, she leans closer. When she feels your emotions more than your center, she walks away. A woman can read a man faster than he realizes, and predictability is one of the quickest ways to lose her interest. When she knows exactly what you'll say, how you'll respond, and how much you'll tolerate, she stops feeling any tension or excitement. Attraction needs a little uncertainty. Not chaos, not games, but a sense that you're not fully figured out. When you become too easy to read, she feels like she already knows the outcome. And when a woman knows the outcome, she stops investing. Most men fall into predictability because they think consistency means giving the same reaction every time. They think being a good man means always being available, always being understanding, always being ready to talk whenever she wants. But that kind of predictability isn't attractive. It makes her feel like she's leading the rhythm of the connection instead of stepping into the rhythm you set. A man who's always there stops being intriguing. A man who always says yes stops having a presence that holds weight. What she really wants is a man whose attention isn't guaranteed. Someone who doesn't collapse into emotional comfort just because she smiles at him. Someone who responds with intention, not habit. When you have a life, a mission, and self-respect, you naturally become less predictable because you're not shaped by her behavior. You're shaped by your direction. She can sense that your decisions come from who you are, not from your desire to keep her happy. Predictability makes her feel safe, but not attracted. A man with depth makes her curious. When she can't quite read your next move, she leans in. Not because you're confusing, but because you carry yourself like a man she hasn't fully understood yet. And that's what keeps her wanting more. Most men lose women not because they're unkind or unworthy, but because they communicate in a way that puts the woman in charge of the emotional rhythm. You start asking what she wants, how she feels, what she prefers, what she thinks you should do. You think it shows respect. You think it shows maturity. But to her, it shows uncertainty. It shows that you're relying on her to guide the connection instead of setting the tone yourself. When you keep asking instead of leading, she feels the weight of responsibility that a woman shouldn't feel in the early stages. Leadership and attraction isn't about control. It's about direction. It's knowing when to reach out, when to pause, when to create space, and when to move things forward. It's sending the text because you want to, not because you're hoping she responds. It's deciding where to meet, planning the moment, and trusting your own judgment instead of checking her emotional temperature every few minutes. A woman relaxes around a man who moves with intention. She tenses around a man who looks to her for constant confirmation. When you ask too often, you accidentally communicate that you are unsure of yourself. You make her feel like she has to teach you how to be with her. That breaks the masculine frame without you even noticing. She doesn't want to feel like she's steering you. She wants to feel like you know where you're going and she gets to come along if she chooses. A man who leads creates a sense of ease. A man who seeks direction creates pressure. When you trust your moves, she trusts you too. But when every step depends on her approval, she stops feeling drawn to you. Women follow the man who follows himself first. Most men think attraction is built through constant communication, steady reassurance, and making their intentions clear. But what actually pulls a woman in is the space between those things. It's the tension. It's the little unknowns. It's the moments when she can't quite predict what you're thinking or what you'll do next. When everything about you is explained, available, and easy to access, she doesn't feel anything. She understands you, but she doesn't feel drawn to you. Emotional pull doesn't come from clarity. It comes from curiosity. Mystery isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about keeping parts of your world to yourself until someone earns access. It's not telling her everything you feel. It's not oversharing your fears or plans. It's not filling every silence because you're afraid she'll lose interest. A woman becomes attracted when she senses depth she hasn't reached yet. When she sees confidence without loudness. When she feels desire from you but not dependence. That subtle restraint makes her lean forward. It makes her want to understand you. Most men ruin that tension by giving too much too soon. They reveal their intentions immediately. They tell her how important she is before she's even invested. They respond instantly, check in too often, and make their emotional cards obvious. All of this kills the spark because she has nothing left to discover. She knows she already has you, and that removes the chase from her side completely. A man who carries mystery moves at his own pace. He doesn't rush to fill gaps. He doesn't rush to prove himself. He lets her wonder a little. Not to manipulate her, but because he's secure in who he is. That restraint creates a gravitational pull she can't ignore. Women fall for men who give them something real to feel, not everything to know. A woman can sense when a man is fighting for her attention instead of building a life that naturally attracts her. The more you try to prove yourself, the more you try to convince her you're worth choosing, the faster she loses interest. Not because you're a bad man, but because the energy you give off says you don't believe you're enough on your own. When your focus moves from your purpose to her approval, everything about you becomes lighter. Your words lose strength. Your presence loses weight. She feels the shift even if you say nothing. Earning yourself isn't about becoming arrogant or distant. It's about putting your effort into becoming the man you would admire. When you chase her, you stop chasing your potential. When you chase validation, you stop chasing mastery. A woman doesn't fall for a man who fights for her attention. She falls for a man who is so grounded, disciplined, and sure of his direction that she wants to be part of his world. Your life has to pull her in more than your messages ever could. When you fight for her, you place her above your self-respect. You tolerate behavior you wouldn't accept from anyone else. You explain yourself too much. You apologize for things that don't need apologizing. You adjust your standards so she stays comfortable. All of this sends the message that you value her more than you value your own principles, and no woman is attracted to a man who abandons himself to win her. When you earn yourself, you stop negotiating your worth. You walk away when needed. You maintain your pace. You choose your path even if she doesn't immediately follow. That inner strength is what commands her respect. It's what makes her see you not as a man trying to impress her, but as a man she would regret losing. Most men make the mistake of clinging when they should be walking away. They believe persistence equals love, or that showing desperation will prove their value. But nothing pushes a woman away faster than a man who refuses to detach when boundaries are tested. Walking away isn't about punishment or proving a point. It's about preserving your dignity and showing her, without words, that your life doesn't revolve around her approval. When you step back, you create a shift in the energy. Suddenly, she feels the space where you were, and curiosity, tension, and attraction begin to reappear. Walking away demonstrates that your value is not conditional on her presence. It signals that you prioritize yourself first, your emotions, your standards, your direction. Women don't want men who bend to their moods or chase their attention. They want men who maintain their frame even when it's uncomfortable. That discomfort awakens desire because she senses there's a man behind the mask of availability, someone she hasn't fully captured. Most men fear walking away because they mistake silence for loss. They think that if they stop texting, stop chasing, or stop reacting, she will forget them. But the opposite is true. Absence creates intrigue. It gives her a chance to wonder, to reflect, to feel the pull of a man who exists beyond her control. Walking away is not rejection, it's self-respect. It's the ultimate display of confidence because it shows you are not dependent on anyone else's affection to feel whole. When you can walk away, you suddenly become the man she can't ignore, the man whose presence she begins to chase instead of the one who chases her. That shift changes everything. Most men never reach the point where a woman truly chooses them because they haven't become the kind of man she can trust, admire, and feel drawn to. It's not enough to show interest, chase her attention, or even demonstrate good qualities superficially. Women are wired to respond to depth, confidence, and consistency. They need to feel a man's value before they can feel desire. If you haven't established that foundation, she can't fully invest, no matter how much she likes you on the surface. Being a man she chooses starts with mastering yourself first. You must know who you are, what you stand for, and what you will not compromise. You must hold your standards and act from them, not from her reactions. Women are instinctively drawn to men who create their own direction in life, men who carry weight without needing external validation. When she senses that you prioritize your own growth, discipline, and purpose above all else, she feels pulled in naturally. Attraction comes from your energy, not your words. It also comes from your ability to remain unshakable in her presence. When she tests you, doubts you, or withholds attention, the man she respects stays grounded. He does not bend, chase, or beg for approval. That consistency builds trust and admiration because it shows a stability she can rely on, even emotionally. Finally, being the man she chooses requires patience and restraint. You don't force her hand or manipulate her emotions. You focus on becoming the man worth choosing. When she sees that, her choice becomes effortless. She doesn't just like you, she respects you, desires you, and ultimately decides to step fully into your world because she recognizes your value and strength. That is the culmination of all the chapters before, being a man she cannot help but choose.